Welcome to the Liberty Reports for Sage 100 Contractor Kickstart Orientation. This video is designed to introduce you to our software and demonstrate how it can be utilized for your business reporting needs. The video will be broken into 4 general sections: accessing the software, data security, running stock reports, and designing custom reports. Each section will in turn cover its own list of detailed topics and demonstrations. We'll start with Section 1. Accessing your software. This section will review utilizing the Liberty Reports desktop application, available self-help resources, and the Liberty Reports toolbar within Excel. Once you've completed installing Liberty Reports for Sage 100 Contractor, you will have a new application on your system called Liberty Reports Desktop. This application can be launched using the desktop shortcut seen here. It may also be launched from your Start menu, as seen here, and the application can be pinned to the taskbar as shown here. Once Liberty Reports Desktop has been opened, we're presented with the Welcome tab that displays content from our online knowledge base. This reference tool can be extremely beneficial in learning how to use Liberty Reports and covers the topics shown here. The second tab within Liberty Reports Desktop contains the stock reports for Sage 100 Contractor. Each report can be opened from here by simply double-clicking the file name. Since we encourage our users to design and build their own custom reports, Liberty Reports Desktop gives you the ability to create your own custom tabs within the application to store those reports. To do so, simply click the link displayed at the bottom of Liberty Reports Desktop to open the linked Windows file directory, go back one level to the report directory, and create a new folder. We'll call this one Custom. Now if we close and reopen the Liberty Reports desktop application, we see a new tab labeled Custom. If we go back to the Windows file directory, we can populate this new tab by either adding new workbook templates or simply moving some of the stock reports to the new folder like so. Now when we go back to our Custom tab in Liberty Reports, we see our newly added report. Now that we've covered the Liberty Reports desktop application and the self-help resources contained, let's move to the final part of our section, the Liberty Reports toolbar within Excel. After installation, the Excel ribbon contains a tab labeled Liberty Reports. This toolbar gives us a variety of options which we'll now consider. The first options we will discuss cover the features provided with both the Query Standard and Query Designer license types. The licensing wizard is where you'll need to start to load your company name and license ID information to register your software. Simply register the software online and you're all set. Using the Check for Updates option will cause Liberty Reports to see if there are any available updates to the software. Should an update be available, the wizard will provide simple step-by-step instructions to install the update. The Help button will direct us back to our online knowledge base material, providing invaluable instructional resources and up-to-date information on any current issues that might arise due to Microsoft and Sage updates. If for some reason you should run into issues using Liberty Reports, the Email Technical Support option can create an email with additional tracelog information and send it to our team of technical support representatives. Please try to be as thorough as possible when filling out the email form. The Application Monitor is a troubleshooting tool that may be accessed by one of our technical support representatives should you request assistance with your software. Options allows access to how Liberty Reports checks for software updates, provides a quick view of the current licensing status, offers additional technical support options like emailing support, enabling a more detailed tracelog, viewing said tracelog, and viewing an environment report. It also grants access to specific properties for each workbook and user options. And last, the About option provides the current version of the software that is installed. The Report Templates option launches the Liberty Reports desktop application. Manage Connections allows us to add or remove connections to our Sage 100 Contractor company data files. Once the wizard has been opened, we're presented with a list of existing connections. Since this is a new installation, our list is blank. To create a connection, click Add, select which version of Sage 100 Contractor to which we will be connecting, Then go ahead and select the machine name on which the Sage 100 Contractor data resides and click Next. Then we're prompted for our Sage credentials. Once those have been entered and we click Next, we're presented with a list of available companies. After selecting the desired company and clicking Next, we're then asked to give it a name. We'll leave this one Sample Company, and we're then given the option of displaying this connection for all users for all workbooks on the network, or for this workbook only. We'll leave the default option of all workbooks on the network for all users and click Finish. We now have our newly created connection. The Refresh button will refresh any queries or functions from within the Liberty Reports template. The Save as Values option will take a workbook and remove all Liberty Reports functionality, leaving only the values. This way the report can be sent to another user who may not have Liberty Reports installed. The Select Databases option allows you to change the company data from which a report is being refreshed. We'll cover the Query Wizard, Function Wizard, and Edit SQL options in the last section of this video, as they are used solely for the purpose of creating custom reports or modifying existing reports with custom functions. This concludes Section 1 of the Liberty Reports for Sage 100 Contractor Kickstart orientation. Now it's time to review the available security features within Sage 100 Contractor, which prevents unauthorized access to your company data via Liberty Reports. This access is granted using the Administration menu within Sage 100 Contractor. To allow access to your data via Liberty Reports, each user listed within Sage 100 Contractor needs to be a member of a custom group named API. If this group does not exist, simply use an administrative login for Sage 100 Contractor, go to the Administration menu options, select Security Groups, assign a group number, name the new group API in all caps like so, enter a Y in the Save column, and select the Save option at the top. To add members to this group, select User List, add the API group to the necessary users, and click Save. Those users will now have access to your Sage 100 Contractor company data via Liberty Reports. This concludes Section 2 of our Liberty Reports for Sage 100 Contractor Kickstart orientation. It's now time to consider the third section, running our stock reports. We'll start by opening the Liberty Reports desktop, and we'll use the trial balance report for the purposes of this demonstration. Most of the reports will prompt you to select the desired company data when the report opens. Simply select the company connection and log in using your Sage credentials. Each of the stock reports that come with Liberty Reports will typically include an information worksheet, an admin worksheet, sample values worksheet, and last, a variety of worksheets that will contain the results of the report. The information worksheet will let us know the main purpose of the report, a quick check to make sure macros are enabled in your environment, version requirements for both Liberty Reports and Sage 100 Contractor, a step-by-step instructional guide on using the report, and some quick disclaimers and comments regarding the report design and version number. The admin worksheet will prompt you for any search criteria that might be required by the report. For this example, the report is requesting that we enter a fiscal year and period before refreshing. Since we'll be using the sample company data in this example, we'll go to the Sample Values worksheet and click the Use These Values button, which will enter the values in our admin worksheet. Now we can either click the Refresh Data button displayed on the admin worksheet, or we can use the Refresh button located in the Liberty Reports toolbar. This takes us right to one of our report worksheets, which in this example is named Trial Balance. You'll notice that the amounts listed for beginning balance, period activity, and ending balance all have a double right chevron symbol. This is used to illustrate that we can drill down into these values for more detailed information by double-clicking the cell. For example, if we double-click the first value in the beginning balance column, we're taken to the Transactions worksheet, which then shows all the transactional data that comprised the total balance seen on the Trial Balance worksheet. From here, we can either save the report as values, so we get a static view of the data as it stands right now, or we could rerun the report at a later time to get our most up-to-date information available. This concludes Section 3. Now we've reached the final section of our video, Designing Custom Reports. This section will cover using the Query Wizard, Function Wizard, and Edit SQL options to design custom reports or modify existing reports. Each installation of Liberty Reports for Sage 100 Contractor includes a template called New Report. This template is designed to emulate our other stock reports that come with the software. Once the report has been opened, we see it has the standard information, admin, sample values, and report worksheets. Our template also includes a worksheet named SQL. This sheet is included for advanced users who are adept at writing SQL queries and wish to create a query that can then be referenced in a Liberty Reports function. Doing so can reduce report load times, as the function would run only against the results of the SQL query and not against the entire database table. Since we won't be going that in-depth into report design in this video, we'll hide the worksheet for now. Additional training on custom SQL statements and how to utilize them within functions can be obtained by contacting our sales team. Our example today will demonstrate how to create a query that will return a list of GL transactions based on a specific date range. We'll start by going to our admin page and creating our search criteria. We'll go ahead and create a label for start date and end date, and we'll apply some quick formatting to show where the input cells are. Let's go ahead and name each input cell as start date and end date. That way they can be referenced later without having to know the exact sheet name and cell location. While we're here, we'll go ahead and enter values of May 1st, 2011 and May 31st, 2011. Now that we've got our search criteria ready to go, we can move to the Reports worksheet. To create a new query, we just select the cell we want to use as the start of the query and use the Query Wizard option from the Liberty Reports toolbar. This will display a list of available tables from which data can be queried. You can use the scroll bar on the right to navigate the list, you can use the up-down arrows on your keyboard, or if you know the name of the table, simply start typing it in. Today we're looking for the GL transaction table. You'll also notice that we get a small preview of the data contained within the table to help us verify we are querying the correct information. Once we've found the right table, we click Next, and we're presented with a list of columns that are contained within the table. To select the columns, simply click each one or use the up-down arrows in the spacebar. For this example, we'll select Record Number, Transaction Number, Date, Description, Vendor, and Amount, and click Next. Now we are presented with the option to add conditions. Since we only want to view transactions greater than our start date and less than the end date, we'll click Add Condition. Then we can select the date column, use the greater or equal as our comparison operator, and under Compare To, let's go ahead and select Cell Reference. Notice that we also have the option to use a literal value or another database field. For the Compare To value, we could use the Cell Selector tool, but since we gave it a named reference, we can just select that reference from the drop-down list and click OK. Since we need to compare our results to the end date as well, we'll click Add Condition again. Then we'll follow the same steps as last time, except this time we will use the less or equal comparison, and we'll select End Date from our cell reference list and click OK. The last condition will make sure the query does not return any transactions where the vendor equals 0. To do so, we click Add Condition one more time, select Vendor as our column, use the Not Equal comparison, and we'll leave the Compare To value type as a literal value this time, and leave 0 for the value and click OK. Now that our conditions have been defined, we can click Finish to complete the Query Wizard. And we've just completed using the Query Wizard to make a custom report. Let's go ahead and apply some quick formatting to make things look a bit more professional. Now that our query is done, you'll notice that the vendor column only shows the vendor ID and not the name. We can add that information by adding a lookup function to our query results. So let's insert a new column to the left of column G. We'll give it a column header of vendor name, and then we'll select the first row of our new column under the column header and select Function Wizard from the Liberty Reports toolbar. We're now shown a list of available functions that are specific to Liberty reports. When you select a function, information will appear that describes the proper use and intended purpose of each one. For this example, we'll use the lookup function, which, as we see in the wizard, will return the value for the specified column in the row uniquely identified by the table's primary key. Once we click Next, we're presented with a list of available tables. Since we know the name is in the AP Vendors table, that's the table we will select. Clicking Next brings us to the list of columns we wish to display with the function, so we will select Vendor Name and click Next. We're then asked to define the primary key that will tie the function to the rest of the query results. Since our key will be the vendor ID, we will leave the type as cell reference, and we'll use the cell selector tool to select the vendor ID immediately to the left of our function. Our last step are some basic formatting options. Since we have already defined our column header, we can leave the Include Column Captions unselected, and we can leave the Fill Down Formulas option selected so the function will appear for each result within the query. Clicking Finish inserts the new function for us, and we now have the vendor name associated with each transaction record. From here, if we wanted to change our date range, we could just go back to the admin worksheet, change our search conditions, and use the Refresh option in the Liberty Reports toolbar. If, for some reason, we wanted to add additional columns to our query results, we can use the Edit SQL option. Selecting this will provide a window showing the exact syntax of the SQL query we created using the Query Wizard. If you're handy with SQL, you can use this to add more complexity to the query, like joining tables, reorganizing the column layouts, and adding additional where statements. For more training on using the SQL editor, feel free to contact our sales team. Now that our report is complete, we can save the report as a macro-enabled template to our Custom Reports folder so other users could access the report from the Liberty Reports desktop application. Simply use the Save option within Excel, select the file type as XLTM or macro-enabled template, browse to the Custom Reports folder we created in Section 1, and go ahead and click Save. At this point, Excel will prompt us to decide if we would like to clear the data before saving the template and automatically refresh the data whenever the template is opened. We recommend using No for this prompt. Our new report is now saved to the Liberty Reports desktop and ready to be accessed by our other users. This concludes the Liberty Reports for Sage 100 Contractor Kickstart orientation. Thank you for watching, and we hope you found this information very useful.